What's up guys, in today's episode we're going to be working on making some fog machines and also connecting them together onto one switch. I really do think that adding fog machines to your cosplay is one way to really elevate the quality. And right now I have two cosplays that I feel like really need that fog machine, which is one, my Dark Deku cosplay for smokescreen of course, and also I kind of want to do a Captain Smoker eventually. Adding a fog machine to this and multiple other cosplays or props is one of the ways I feel like I'm really going to step up my cosplay game. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to learn more about how I make my costumes, and also follow me on Instagram. There it's a lot easier for me to keep you guys up to date with the things that I'm doing. But for now I'm going to send you guys off to the rest of the video and hope you guys enjoy and follow along. So this is the atomizer I decided to go with. There are a few reasons why I decided to choose this one. The number one reason why I got this one compared to like the other atomizers out there is because you can see here, this one is a lot bigger than the ones you could usually find. Second reason is whenever I store this in my costume, I want to be able to store it. Second reason, because I want to store this in my costume, I want it to be facing up. With this one, the juice kind of fills in through the bottom, whereas this one, it uses these little cotton strings to pull up the juice into the coils. And I think there was a third reason, but I honestly can't remember. I do have other plans for this type of atomizer in the future. The first thing we want to do is we're going to change the coils out. With this one, you just twist off the glass piece and then twist off this little piece down here. Oh, this is the third reason. So you can see here, this one is a 1.6 ohm coil, and it came with a replacement of a 1.8. This is the one that we need. If you don't use this one, then there's a chance that it's just not gonna end up working in the end. So make sure you get that in there as tight as you can. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with fog juice. This is not vape juice. I wanna keep that clear. This is your ordinary run-of-the-mill Spirit Halloween fog juice that you put into fog machines. Now you don't want to pour this into the metal cylinder right there. I'm pouring it on the side of the glass and filling up the inside there. I just wanted to get some juice in here just so that whenever I turn this on, I don't burn the coils. Put that in there. I would say that's one of the biggest downsides with this coil, using it as a fog machine, that you're gonna have to remove it and then turn it upside down and then twist the whole thing off. Instead of being able to refill it on top, there are some like this big that you can still fill on top. I just didn't get that one. It came with a replacement glass cylinder thing. I don't know what the heck this thing is over here, but we're done with this. Set that aside. So make sure everything is as tight as you can get it, so that way you have an airtight seal. Now basically how it works is the thing that I had replaced in there, whenever I apply power to it, it's going to heat up the coils inside there. Those coils are going to heat up the fog juice, and that's going to evaporate and exit through the hole here with the help of some air. Now we need a way to pump air into this thing so that way the fog could come out. And on this one, the air vent is on the side. You can see there are multiple sizes. I'm just going to stick to the biggest size that it has, and we're going to be using this tiny little air pump. This is usually used in fish tanks. The air comes out of this hole here, and we're going to go ahead and attach that to this hole there so that it could pump air and then create fog. The way I'm going to attach them is just regular hot glue and a lot of hot glue. But before we can use hot glue onto this, I'm going to go ahead and attach the wires first, because we're going to be soldering, and the heat from the soldering iron could just remove the hot glue. This is just regular wire that I have. I'll leave a link in the description. But we're just going to cut off a decent size piece, one that's definitely longer than the little pump that we have. Separate the two wires. So where the wires are going to attach onto this is on the bottom. This little piece right here, that's where the red wire is going to be. When you solder this, make sure you don't get any solder on this threaded area here, or else you might short out your battery. So we're gonna be very careful with that. And how I'm gonna attach them is the red on top, and then the black is just gonna attach anywhere on this piece down here. And I want this to be as contained as possible, so I'm actually gonna cut a little more of the black wire so it can sit over here comfortably away from where the red wire is going to be attached. Go ahead and strip your wires. And before we could attach solder onto here, we're gonna need to sand this down a little bit so the solder actually has something that it wants to hold on to. Please don't roast my soldering iron. This is a really old one, and I'm just using it because it actually gets really hot. If I just put regular solder onto the floor piece there, let that cool down, I actually put a little bit on top of here as well. Add a little bit of solder to the wires. So we have that red wire attached. We want the wires to align with the little vent hole there. So I'm going to make sure that they align over it. And then I'm going to add solder to the base here. You're gonna wanna make sure that you get it very hot where the solder is touching the base here, or else it's not gonna stick. Blow on it to cool it down before you even move a muscle, because if not, it's not gonna stick. If yours doesn't, it just means that your soldering iron is not getting hot enough. That's something I learned the hard way, which is why I wasn't using the butane torch. I was using this old one that I found lying around. You can see that the base has a tendency of just falling off. I'm gonna add more solder to there. And the soldering iron I'm using is just breaking apart. If you know why, I'm pretty new to soldering. So if you know why this is breaking apart, let me know. I assume it's because it's just dirty and old. Put our solder there and then spread it out. So there's the problem I've had with every single one that I've made. I've made 2 of these so far. There's a problem I had where the solder is just not sticking. So what I'm doing right now is probably considered very barbaric and very frowned upon in the soldering world, but I'm just holding down that big pool of solder that I put down, and then I'm using a hot glue to hold everything down. And guess what? It works. But at least the solder on the red wire is not touching anything, not even the hot glue. Now we're gonna go ahead and attach the little air pump. So you can see I have some tubing here that I'll also leave in the description. Basically, we're gonna cut this down as short as possible, glue that onto there, and then glue the other end onto there. The air pump is way too smooth for any hot glue to stick on. So we're gonna go ahead and sand it down. Make sure you scratch the very edge of that little cylinder there, because we're gonna be putting some hot glue there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and very quickly, because you don't want the hot glue to cool down too fast, I'm gonna put the hot glue right on the edge here, surrounding that. Don't get any on the tip of the hole. And then we're just gonna push down our tube, and we're gonna hold it down until it cools down. The reason why you have to keep waiting for the hot glue to cool down, like each time you apply some down, is because you really want this to be an airtight seal. If you have any leaks, then your fog machine is just not gonna operate at full capacity. So that's cooled down. We're gonna go ahead and cut it very short. Just like the solder, the hot glue is gonna be kind of picky on sticking onto this as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down right here as well. And to make it a little rougher, actually, I'm gonna be using this bit on my Dremel. Please make sure to wear safety glasses. So you can see we scratched it up a lot. Now we're gonna do the same technique, put a little hot glue around the hole there without actually plugging the hole, and then we're gonna stick that onto there and then hold it down for a little bit. Now since this does turn, the hot glue is also gonna help in preventing that and making sure that it doesn't like close on itself. Add a little more hot glue. There you go. So let's cool down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and add more hot glue. Have some there. Boom. Put a good amount there. And wait for it to cool down. So you can see I've soldered on 2 little wires there. The red one goes to the one that has that little cross there. And then I added a little bit of solder to each end of each wire. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut some more my wire, and then I'm gonna go ahead and split the 2 apart, because we're only gonna want the black wire here. Go ahead and solder the ends, and now I'm gonna go ahead and solder all the black wires together. I'm gonna cover all the open wires with some shrink wrap here, so that way the wires don't actually touch. And then the red wires are going to attach to one of these connectors. And the reason I'm using these connectors is because the battery that I bought here has that connector as well. So this is the male end. We're gonna go ahead and use the female end. So basically what we're doing here is we're splitting the connections. So that way the red wire along with this connection here is gonna connect to the battery, and the battery is gonna give it power. And then all the black wires are gonna go ahead and connect to a switch. So that way I'm freely able to turn on and off the fog machine whenever I want. So now that this is attached, now you can directly solder these onto a switch itself. However, for me, I want to be able to attach multiple fog machines onto the same circuit. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another connection here onto the 2 black wires here. I'm gonna go ahead and color in this red wire black. Since it's connecting to a black wire, it's gonna do the same purpose as the black wire. So here you can see the basic layout of all the connections here. I will have a diagram as well, but you can see on this side here, we have the connection that's going to connect our battery to the rest of the system. And then that's not going to work unless the circuit here is complete with a switch. I guess I can make a quick switch right now. You can see I have a basic flip switch here, and it's 4-prong. There are multiple types. You might get a 2-prong one, but basically one side is going to be positive, one side is going to be negative. It doesn't matter which side is positive or negative as long as both on each side is the same polar. Now remember, for the switch here, both of these wires are going to be black wires, so these two are going to go on the same side. I'm just going to temporarily attach them together. There you go, just a very temporary solution right there. So the switch will be connected to the switch plug, and then the battery gets connected to the power plug. Now everything's connected. All that's left is to flip the switch. You can see there's an O for off, and then there's an I for it is turned on. So we can flip that switch. And there we have a full circuit. Now always disconnect whenever you're like done. You don't want to accidentally cross lines anywhere. Now remember, like I said before, I want to be able to attach multiple fog machines onto one circuit. I went ahead and airbrushed the ends that are going to be connected to the switch green, just so that way I don't ever accidentally connect the battery to the wrong port. And how I'm connecting these two pieces is with this contraption I made. It is 2 females connected to 1 male. The wiring will have to be the same as this one, or else the power is just not going to flow into the motor or the coils effectively. So you can see I chose to color code them green. So you go ahead and connect the switch ends and then connect the power to each one. There we go. And now we still need the switch. The switch is going to connect to the open one here, and then just like before, we flip the switch and they both turn on. So that's cool. But for my situation, what if I want to connect more than 2? What if I want to connect 3 instead? Well, here's a third one that I've made. And then basically what you have to do is disconnect the actual switch and then just make another one of these. So I have this one. It's longer for no reason, but then you connect the green together, and then you connect your first one to your second one. Boom. And then go ahead and grab another battery, connect that to the third fog machine, and then get your switch. And then all these should work in unison with one button. So there you are. You want to be very careful also when like putting this into your costume. You don't want your fog machines touching each other, because even if I were to grab this part right here and touch them, it turns on, and you can see it was kind of more quieter than usual. So that'll probably mess up down the line. So when storing them, make sure they're separated from each other. Don't let any of the open areas like this touch each other. Just be safe. Like right now what I'm doing, I'm done with everything, so I'm going to disconnect all the batteries. In the next episode, I want to show how I implement these into a costume. I might need a 4th one. It just depends to me how much fog is going to distribute through it, because I'm going to be feeding everything through these hoses. So there's that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys were able to enjoy and follow along. If you have any questions about anything that happened in this video, please leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Share this video and my channel with anyone you think might be interested, and also make sure to follow me on Instagram, where I give more updates. And that's pretty much it. I'm really interested in seeing how I can implement these fog machines into more cosplays. I mentioned Captain Smoker before, of course, for like throughout the cosplay, but also I wanted to see if I can implement it into his cigars as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys were able to enjoy and follow along. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever I do. Goodbye.